Dear students, welcome to UGC EPG Pathashala on Human Rights and Duties. In this paper on National Mechanisms for Protection and Enforcement of Human Rights, we will take up the National Commission for the Protection of Child Rights. We have already considered the national human rights protection system, the role of the state, legislature, executive and judiciary with regard to the protection of human rights, the Paris Principles, the National Human Rights Commission, the National Commission for Women, National Commission for Scheduled Castes, Scheduled Tribes and Minorities. And today we will take up the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights. And if you look at the international human rights law, particularly the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, there is a clear affirmation of the need to keep the best interests of the child in view while taking actions. That it was clearly recognized that children should have the first call on the resources and a range of rights that have been enshrined there. And today the Convention on the Rights of the Child has been signed and ratified by virtually every country in the world. All but 2 countries of the world have signed and ratified it. And the Constitution of India also has a range of provisions for protecting the child rights. Children, by virtue of their tender age, by virtue of their physical vulnerability, tend to face certain violations. Often these take the form of child labor, child sexual exploitation, child marriages, and many other manifestations. It's extremely important to ensure that children are protected from these exploitation and that their rights are protected for the healthy development of children and to enable them to enjoy their full range of civil, political as well as economic, social, cultural rights. And that's why if you see, in addition to the Constitution of India and its provisions, a number of laws have been enacted by the Parliament of India for protecting the children and protecting their rights. Ultimately, it is the enforcement at the field or at the ground level that matters, and that's why there is a need for a institutional machinery which can monitor, which can review, which can oversee how the children's rights are being protected and then make recommendations from time to time. So, in this module we will look at the historical context, we will look at the constitutional provisions, look at various laws, look at the structure, functions and powers of the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights. And who is a child? A child has been defined as anyone who is between the age of 0 to 18 years is defined as a child. And what are the learning outcomes? In fact, at the end of this lecture, you should have an understanding of the constitutional legislative framework of children's protection, which led to the creation of a monitoring body for children in the form of a NCPCR. you should also be in a position to assess the vision, aims and purposes of this commission. And what is the composition, what are the methods of appointments of members, functions, powers, etc. of this commission in the exercise of its mandate. And we need to take a look at the functions of the commission with respect to other legislations for the protection of child rights. Now let us take up the background and the basis for the establishment of this National Commission. There, as I said, there are a number of provisions in the Constitution of India. For instance, Article 15 of the Constitution provides for special measures for classes of the citizens which need adequate protection, thus paving the way for positive measures. Article 21A directs the state to provide free and compulsory education to all the children in the age group of 6 to 14 years. Article 23 prohibits trafficking of human beings and forced labor. Article 24 prohibits employment of children below the age of 14 years in factories, mines or any other hazardous occupation. Article 39F, under the directive principles of state policy, directs the state to ensure that children are given opportunities and facilities to develop in a healthy manner and in conditions of freedom and dignity, and that the childhood and youth are protected against exploitation and against moral and material abandonment. Article 45 directs the state to provide early childhood care and education for all children until they complete the age of 6 years. And you find that these constitutional provisions are also reinforced by a number of special legislations. For instance, there is a Child Marriage Restraint Act which was adopted in 1929 and subsequently amended. Child Labour Prohibition and Regulation Act 86, which was again amended subsequently. Then there is the Infant Milk Substitutes, Feeding Bottles and Infant Foods Regulation of Production, Supply and Distribution Act of 1992. Then there is a Prenatal Diagnostic Technique Regulation, Prevention and Misuse Act 1994 to prevent female feticide. And then there is the Immoral Traffic Prevention Act of 1956, amended subsequently. And then there is a Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education Act 2009, which is called Right to Education Act. And then there is a Juvenile Justice Act and the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act of 2012, or commonly known as POCSO Act. Apart from these, there are child-friendly provisions in other legislations like the Indian Penal Code, the Criminal Procedure Code. The National Policy for Children, adopted in 1974, lays down that the state shall provide adequate resources towards children. The National Charter for Children 2003 emphasizes Government of India's commitment to children's right to survival, health and nutrition, standard of living, play and leisure, early childhood care, education, protection of the girl child, equality, life and liberty, name and nationality, freedom of expression, freedom of association and peaceful assembly, the right to a family and the right to be protected from economic exploitation. The government commissioned the National Plan of Action, which submitted its proposed plan in the year 2005. The National Plan of Action for Children realized amongst others by setting up of national and state commissions for the protection of child rights, which can take up suo motu cognizance of child rights violation. what is the vision and aims of the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights. We'll take it up in detail. The UN Convention on the Rights of the Child was adopted by the United Nations General Assembly, and the objective was to give every child the right to survival and development in a healthy and congenial environment. The Convention on the Rights of the Child makes it obligatory for state parties to take all necessary steps for the effective protection of children. And then there is a UN General Assembly's outcome document at a special session called A World Fit for Children identified several drivers which include policies, goals, strategies which are aimed at advancing the rights of children and identifying key areas of improvement in their overall development. Following United Nations recommendations and the national aspirations, the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights was constituted by the Government of India in pursuance of the Commissions for Protection of Child Rights Act 2005, and this act provided for the establishment of national commissions under Section 3 and state commissions for protection of child rights under Section 17. NCPCR has a wide role, responsibility, duties, functions, and it was tasked with overseeing effective protection of children and monitoring actions, policies. According to the Citizens Charter of this Commission, its vision is to ensure that all children enjoy their basic inalienable rights, that is, survival, development, protection, and participation in accordance with the constitutional framework, law, and policy, and the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child across the country. And then, if you look at the mission, its mission is to ensure that all laws, policies, and programs and administrative mechanisms are in consonance or in harmony with the child rights perspective as enshrined in the Constitution of India as well as in the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, which India ratified in the year 1992. The website of this commission gives the mission and aims of the NCPCR, under which it recognizes the tone of urgency in all the child related policies of the country. It also focuses on regions that are backward or on communities of children under certain circumstances, and it says it is only in building a larger atmosphere in favor of protection of child rights that children who are targeted become visible and gain confidence to access their entitlements. For the Commission, every right of the child enjoys is seen as a mutually reinforcing and interdependent. Therefore, the issue of gradation of rights does not arise. A child enjoying all her rights at her 18th year is dependent on the access to all her entitlements from the time she is born. Thus, policies, interventions assume great significance at all stages. For the NCPCR, all the rights of children are of equal importance. What is the composition of this body like? And if you see the provisions of the Commissions for Protection of Child Rights Act, it lays down that the commissions shall consist of a chairperson, and section 3 says it shall also consist of 6 members, of whom at least 2 must be women. There should be pluralism in the composition of the commission. The chairperson has to be a person of eminence and has done outstanding work for promoting the welfare of children, and the 6th member, out of whom at least 2 must be women, should be persons of eminence, ability, integrity, standing, and experience in a number of fields, including education, child health care, welfare or child development, juvenile justice or care of neglected or marginalized children or children with disabilities, elimination of child labor or children in distress, child psychology or sociology, and laws relating to children. Under section 4, the appointments of chairperson and members of the commission is to be done by a notification of the central government. And section 27 of the Commissions for Protection of Child Rights Act says that funding for NCPR activities shall be by way of grants extended by the central government. Under section 28, state commissions receive similar grants from the state government for fulfilling the functions under the Commissions for Protection of Child Rights Act. What are the functions of these NCPCR? It takes on a variety of roles depending on the legislation it is deriving its functions from. In addition to Commission for the Protection of Child Rights Act, the NCPCR is tasked with functions under other legislations concerning the interests of children, such as under the POCSO Act or the Right to Education Act. The Commission's functions under powers under the CCPR Act. Now, NCPCR is tasked with a variety of roles, including supervision, monitoring, investigation and inquiry, research, reporting, inspection, etc. Under Article 13(1) of the CCPR Act, the Commission is entrusted with performing a series of functions which include examining, reviewing the safeguards provided by or under any law for the time being in force for the protection of child rights and recommend measures for their effective implementation. Present to the central government every year or at such intervals as the Commission may deem fit, reports upon working of these safeguards, inquire into violation of child rights and recommend initiation of proceedings in such cases, examine all factors that inhibit the enjoyment of rights affected by terrorism, communal violence, riots, natural disasters, domestic violence, HIV/AIDS, trafficking, maltreatment, torture and exploitation, pornography and prostitution, and recommend appropriate remedial measures. NCPCR shall also look into matters relating to children in need of special care and protection, including children in distress, marginalized and disadvantaged children, children in conflict with law, juveniles, children without family, and children of prisoners, and recommend appropriate remedial measures. NCPCR is required to study treaties and other international instruments and undertake periodic review of existing policies and programs and other activities on child rights and make recommendations for their effective implementation in the best interests of children. NCPCR has a statutory responsibility to undertake and promote research in the field of child rights. It is also required to spread child rights literacy among various sections of society and promote awareness of the safeguards available for the protection of these rights through publication, media, seminar, and other available means. NCPCR shall inspect or have inspection done of any juveniles, custodial homes or any other place of residence or institution meant for children under the control of central government or any state government or any other authority, including any institution run by a social organization where children are detained or lodged for the purpose of treatment, reformation or protection, and take up with these authorities for remedial action depending on the circumstances. NCPCR shall inquire into complaints and take suo motu notice of matters relating to deprivation and violation of child rights, non-implementation of laws providing for protection and development of children, non-compliance of policy decisions, guidelines or instructions aimed at reducing the hardships to and ensuring welfare of the children and provide relief to such children, or take up the issues arising out of such matters with the authorities concerned. Thus, you see, one of the core functions of the NCPCR is to inquire into violations of child rights. These individual complaints may be made in any language listed in the 8th schedule of the Constitution, but it should disclose a complete picture of the matter leading to the complaint, and it should not relate to any matter which is pending before any other commission duly constituted under the law or which is sub judice before a court or tribunal. While inquiring into any complaints under section 30, the commission under section 14 has the powers of a civil court. In particular, it can summon, it can enforce the attendance of any person and examine him or her on oath. It can require discovery and production of any document. It can receive evidence on affidavits. It can also requisition any public record or copy from any court of or any office, and it can issue commissions for the examination of witnesses or documents. The NCPCR also has the power to forward any case to a magistrate under section 14(2), and upon completion of an inquiry may take several steps which are mentioned in under section 15, where the inquiry discloses the commission of violation of child rights of a serious nature or contravention of the provisions of any law. It may recommend to the concerned government or authority the initiation of proceedings for prosecution or such other action as the commission may deem fit against the concerned person or persons. It can also approach the Supreme Court of India or the High Court concerned for issuing such directions, orders or writs as that court may deem necessary, or it can recommend to the concerned government or authority for the grant of such interim relief to the victim or the members of his or her family as the commission may consider necessary. Thus, you will see that under the provisions of the Commission for Protection of Child Rights Act, NCPCR enjoys a wide mandate in terms of its function, encompassing advisory, reporting, investigative, evaluative, remedial, educational and supervisory duties in relation to children's rights in India. What are its functions under the Prevention of Commission of Sexual Offences Act or POCSO Act? It is required to effectively address these heinous crimes of sexual abuse and sexual exploitation of children. POCSO Act also envisages a monitoring role for the NCPCR under the section 44 of the POCSO Act. Under the rule 6 of the POCSO, NCPCR is mandated to monitor the implementation of the Prevention of the Commission of Sexual Offences Act, to monitor the designation of special courts by state governments, to monitor the appointment of public prosecutors by the state governments, monitor the formulation of the guidelines described in section 39 of the POCSO Act by the state governments. And it is also required to monitor the designing and implementation of modules for training police personnel and other concerned persons, including officers of the central and state governments, for the effective discharge of their functions under the Act. It is required to monitor and support the central government and state governments for the dissemination of information relating to the provisions of the Act through media, including the television, radio and print media at regular intervals, so as to make the general public, children as well as their parents and guardians aware of the provisions of the Act. It can call for a report on any specific case of child sexual abuse falling within the jurisdiction of the Child Welfare Committee. It can collect information and data on its own or from the relevant agencies regarding reported cases of sexual abuse and their disposal under the processes established under the POCSO Act, including information on number and details of offences reported under this Act, whether the procedures prescribed under the POCSO Act and rules have been followed or not, including those regarding time frames, and the details of arrangements for care and protection of victims of offences under the POCSO Act, including arrangements for emergency medical care and medical examination, and details regarding assessment of the need for care and protection of a child by the concerned Child Welfare Committee in any specific case. The NCPCR is also required to assess the implementation of the provisions of the POCSO Act and to include a report in a separate chapter in its annual report to the Parliament. And what are the Commission's functions under the Right to Education Act? The NCPCR undertakes a number of functions under the Right to Education Act. It examines and reviews the safeguards for rights provided by or under this Act and recommend measures for their effective implementation. It can inquire into individual complaints relating to child's right to free and compulsory education. The Commission enjoys the directive powers under section 15 of the Commissions for Protection of Child Rights Act. In conclusion, we find that the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights is entrusted with a significant responsibility of protecting and promoting the rights of children in India. It has specifically been provided with functions under child rights protection legislation such as POCSO, Commission for Protection of Child Rights Act and the Right to Education Act. NCPCR is mandated to uphold the rights as effectively as possible to mitigate the harm and vulnerability to children in India. Thank you.